Welcome to our Faith, Hope, and Love television ministry sponsored by the newgreenbook.biz. We are broadcasting from our worship campus located here in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. We are the church where family comes together and everything begins with it is finished. Now please receive our men's ministry leader, Executive Pastor, Arnisha Harris.
What you got to know, a father is like an umbrella. He's covering. And sometimes you don't even know that you're in the rain. The rain could be pouring down, and the enemy wants you to just stay out there. You have covering. There's a word that, there's a scripture that came to me. It says, the thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. But he said, I come that you might have life. One translation said that you may have a rich, abundant life. What he's saying, that he wants you to have life in its fullness. He wants to steal your purpose. He wants to kill your promise. He wants to destroy your passion. That's what the enemy wants to do. If he can steal your purpose, with your purpose, the potential would never be fulfilled. If he steals your promise, that's that anointing to make results and to allow results to happen for him. If he steals your passion, he takes your determination where you never have a drive. Look at drive. Love has a sign that says this is their motto. It's the love that drives us. See, as a believer, that's what's supposed to drive us, our love. What drive is? Determination rewards individuals victorious endings. In 2016, it was June the 18th, I boarded a flight to go to San Diego. To see my grandson. My grandson graduated from high school, Lincoln High School. Lincoln High School is a famous high school for sports players. That's the school where Marcus Allen, Heisman Trophy winner, went to school. Lincoln High School is a school where Terrell Davis, if you're a Denver Bronco fan, he went to school. The school where Norman Powell, that played with the Clippers, went to school. And that's the school where my grandson went. I was so excited because my grandson never had his father in his life. I was excited because he's 6'4", played basketball, football, and an honor student. He graduated with a 3.8 grade point average. Got a scholarship to Cal State in LA, majoring in mathematics. Now, you know, the black man is going to school for mathematics. He got some sense. Not knowing, just found out the other day that one of my neighbors from Westwood was his high school coach. Reason I found out, I went down there to take a cake because his mother passed, and he was in town for the funeral. And he told me, man, your grandson used to tickle me. He said in high school, when he was a sophomore, he wanted to be on the varsity team so bad. I told him, I said, Chris, you give me 10 rebounds a game, I'm gonna pull you up to the varsity. He said, Chris used to be in the game, be counting. Coach, I got 9, coach. I'm gonna get that 10, coach. Like that. So he finally pulled him up as a sophomore to the varsity team. You know, he said, man, Chris, man, was a great kid. He's always disciplined and everything. Well, when his graduation, getting to the story, his graduation, that day, you know, I got 2 sisters live in San Diego. That day, it was all about Christopher. I didn't care about his grandmother. That's my ex. I didn't care about that situation. I was there for him. Everything was about him. And that day, my daughter, not knowing that she was going through anything, you know, I'm going to tell y'all, if you're going through something, talk to your covering. Because see, your covering has the wisdom to help you. See, the enemy wants to have you isolated where he can beat all upside your head. That's what he wants to do. And that day, I said, regardless to whatever's going on, I'm going to spend that time. And that day after the graduation, went to get something to eat, came back to the house till around about 2 in the morning, just playing the Monopoly, just sitting there laughing. And I noticed my daughter just watching me, checking me out. I'm sitting there laughing, cracking jokes and everything. And I think this was God working on her, not revealing anything to me. But I noticed when that situation happened, now this was in June of 2016. After that day, I noticed, I started praying. I said, God, allow whatever's going on, minister to her. You know, because see, the enemy wants you to, if your father hadn't been there, but they doing their responsibility, the enemy wants you to have this thing called hate. Hate is having animosity towards everyone. That's racism. But hate is having anger that's entrapped. Sometimes you don't even know that you got anger entrapped in you. You upset because mom and daddy didn't stay together. And they had their problems. But you didn't want to hear from dad because you think that dad was no good. Because you heard mama said, dad ain't no good. And you built your assumption on that, not wanting to build a relationship. Well, in September of that same year, now June, July, August, September. On September the 29th, I was working midnight to 8 in the morning. And I pull up at work, it's 11:50. And I get a call. This is from my oldest daughter, Maisha. I get a call at 11:50. Now it's 12:50 in Atlanta. So I know something was wrong. She said, Dad, I gotta tell you something. She said, start crying. She said, Dad, Arnisha been killed. Said her boyfriend broke in the office at her job, locked the door when nobody could get in, shot her 3 times, then pulled a gun on himself, killed himself. She sent me the video. It was on CNN. Because this was downtown San Diego, in the business district. And, that night, I didn't want to go home. I said, I'm going to stay at work. Try to keep my mind going. Stay at work. And at that time, I was a member at Greater Community Temple. Bishop Porter, I was there. And for years, I always handled the church deposits. So I went by Greater Community that morning. And normally what I do, whenever I go to the church, I normally come in and I go right to the altar. Sometimes I lay on the altar, just praying. Sometimes I would sit in Bishop's seat, get the oil, anoint myself, and just pray. That morning, I couldn't pray. I was just sitting there with my hands the next morning. Couldn't pray. Just sitting there with my hands in my forehead. And I was sitting there just crying. And the secretary came in. She saw me there. She called one of the elders. His name was Elder Billy Lockett. He was the one that got me into lifting weights. And Elder Lockett used to be one of the trainers for the University of Memphis football team. And Elder Lockett came in right where Elder Harold is that sitting over there about that far from me. He looked at me. He said, Brother Ronnie, you gotta be the strength for your family. You are always the one that encourage. You are always the one that empower people. And he put his hand in my hand and he just began to pray. And don't you know, the Spirit of the Lord came on me, gave me the ability to shake off that situation. And I stood and I thought about my mother and my father. They brought us up trusting God. Trust. Thankfulness release under severe trials. See, when you thanking God, you telling God, no matter what happened, I thank you. Then I started reflecting on Arnisha's life. I said, Lord, you allowed her to be in her 30s. She was in her mid-30s. Had a son that graduated from high school with honors. I said, God, you gave me a grandson. I thank you. Start thanking God. And then later on, my daughter told me that, Maisha told me, she said, Dad, Arnisha, after you left, she had broke up with her boyfriend. Over 2 months, deleted his calls, deleting all his calls, wouldn't text him back. He knew what she worked at. She was assistant manager at a housing project that was for ladies that was going through transition. So she realized, how can I be talking to ladies about things and then I'm struggling myself? They grew up in the same church. Then she said, Dad, his sister was the manager. Arnisha was the assistant manager. He knew her time, she worked, and everything. He purposely set that up because she had took away his power. If you got covering, listen. Listen to your covering. You know, if your father's not here, you got pastor. You got Uncle Ronnie. See, sometimes you just need an uncle. You see what I'm saying? That's my cousin there. That's my first cousin, James Shumpert. Every time I went to California, when I stopped by his dad's house, Pastor Robert Earl Shumpert Harris. Pastor Robert Earl Harris. I stopped by his house. Honey, this is what he tell his wife. Honey, I'm going over to Golden Bird. I'm going to get some chicken. Put a little something on, put some vegetables on. Going to make sure you eat. And this is what we do. We covering. That's what we do. So listen. I tell people, listen increases your learning. When we listen, That's how our faith is built. About 2 weeks before this happened, her murder, she called me. She said, Dad, she said, thank you for coming to Christopher graduation. She said, I really enjoyed you. She said, Dad, I didn't know you had that much wisdom. You know, this is just something that, you know, she was expressing because she was holding stuff there. Then she said, Dad, I just want to tell you, I love you. That's the last time I heard her voice. She told me that she loved me. Thank God. Listen to your covering. Get under the umbrella. Don't let the rain soak you out. Get under that umbrella. I hope that I said something to encourage you. You got covering. You got covering. Thank God for my daughter Renee here. Thank God for her. You know, sometimes we have battles. We have hills we got to climb. Sometimes we want to climb it by ourselves. But we can ask for help. If it ain't nothing but just having a prayer warrior. Thank God for Elder Eugene Harris, my father. He taught us how to love people, how to love on people. Pastor Jeff used to come over there to 911 Bluebell Cove, get some of them sweet potato pies, eat some of Muddy's cooking, some of Muddy's cakes. Yes. Yeah, my mother was a cook. She was a cook. And those sweet potato pies, I think I got that recipe. Yeah, I just thank God. Thank God. Thank God for your ability to listen to me today, to hear my heart. This is why I do what I do. And that word gift is God investing favorable talent strategically. He's investing the talent in us that we can carry on the mission of redemption and restoration. Thank you.